All right, who's got a question? No, we'll just wait for the mic, sorry. If you have a question, put your hand up, because hopefully we have multiple mics and we can just run them around the room and get people set it. So if you've got a question, keep your hand up nice and high and we'll get a mic running to you. All right, go ahead.
Hi, Kerwin. Thanks for delivering epic value. Love you personally.
Thank you. What's your name?
Carol Zanetti.
Hey, Carol. Fire away.
Okay. Instagram TV and Instagram stories.
Yep.
Do you have a strategy to use them both together? Or
Look, we're using Instagram TV. There's not a lot of ROI on at this point. It is a little bit clunky. It's almost kind of taking people off platform in a way. You know, now with the notifications when someone's published something on Instagram TV, it is making it a little bit better. But I still think Instagram's got a long way to go to make it, what it is that they want it to be, which is, a TV platform. And so I think it's good. I think you should be publishing on it. But right now we're not doubling down on it because we're not seeing a huge level of ROI. We're getting a much higher level of ROI out of stories. And that's why we're putting our attention there.
And you said ROI on Instagram stories, so you put your questions and value, and then in DM you monetize by doing the video connection.
Correct.
Cool, thanks.
You got it. All right, next. Do we have more than one mic? Okay, if you've got a mic, stand up and just introduce yourself. Or even sit down and introduce yourself. Just be comfy, man, whatever's easy. Hey, Andy.
I just had my first child, a son, 5 weeks ago.
Congratulations. Is the mic on? Put it to your mouth, bro.
Hello?
There we go. Just put it to your mouth.
Yeah, just had my first son 5 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd love to know someone a bit further down the track, running a much big operation, just your experiences of balancing fatherhood, business, and relationship.
Yeah, look, I don't have a relationship, so I can't really speak to that. I didn't do a great job of balancing my relationship with all the commercial pursuits, but now that I'm a single dad, my highest value is fatherhood. And so as a result, being an exceptional father is like the most important thing in my world. And so for me, the way I balance it is understanding there's always going to be an imbalance. And what that means is when there's any form of imbalance, in order for that to be healthy, there's got to be a high level of awareness and consciousness around how you apply yourself from a presence perspective in whatever situation you're in. So for me, whenever I'm with my son, I'm with my son. He gets the lion's share and the dominant amount of my attention, and everything else is secondary. And when I'm at work, I'm at work. I miss my son. I haven't seen my son now in almost 7 days. I normally have him 50% of the time when I'm in Sydney. And I'm just tearing my hair out to see him, and I miss him dearly, and I'll FaceTime him every day. But I understand that, when I'm working, but when I'm with him, and when I'm working, I will still connect with him. But I understand that there are certain sacrifices that have to be made. That being said, I think a lot of parents often subjugate themselves by saying, well, I may not get to spend as much time with my child as I want to, but I'm setting a great example for them. And what a lot of people need to understand, that what a child needs, and this is not just based on a theory, I've interviewed some of the world's top child psychologists, and I'm very much a practitioner in terms of child psychology. Children don't need a great role model in the area of business. They need a great parent that is there, that connects with them, that makes them feel safe, and that actually tunes in and is attuned to their emotions and is present when they're with them. And that is what builds happy, healthy adults. A child seeing our workaholic parent isn't a healthy example. And I have to balance that out very carefully and very cautiously. But I do understand that the most important thing for me is being a father, and so the most important example for him is showing him what a relationship looks like, what connection looks like, and what that looks like in a healthy perspective. You got it. All right, wherever the microphone is, just stand up tall. Go.
Yeah, hi, my name's Pauline Ryland.
Hey, Pauline.
Just want to ask you about what you were talking about, the cross-pollination. When you're on Instagram, it gives you the option to share to Twitter and Facebook.
Yes.
Is that a good thing to do? Or not?
Look, it used to be really good. Like, I remember whenever we used to share from Instagram to Facebook, we'd do it 3 to 4 times a week, any more than that, and it would create a decline in reach. But going back, like maybe even 12 months ago, we'd get about an 18% increase in engagement on the posts that we shared from Instagram to Facebook. We don't do that anymore because we were seeing a declining rate of reach. And I think that is really coming down to the independence of each model. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens now, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Facebook is looking at amalgamating Facebook, Instagram, Messenger and WhatsApp from the messaging platform perspective, and so there might be some fringe benefits from that at a social platform perspective. So it'll be interesting to see, but as of right now we don't use that sharing tool. It is a lazy man's way to distribute content, and there are other tools out there that I won't mention, because when I do, the CEOs from those companies normally send me nasty emails that enable you to schedule content to send out to all the different platforms. For us personally, we go native wherever possible, and if we do use a scheduling tool, it's the platform scheduling tool. Because what you've got to understand, what platforms look for from their valuations from their shareholders is what's called DAOs and MAUs. A DAO is a daily active user, and a MAU is a monthly active user, and those numbers have incredible. They basically determine whether a company has a buy, hold, or sell reference to them. Like if a group is saying sell Facebook, then people will sell Facebook. And then one of the most important metrics that they look at is those numbers. So what the platforms are looking for is they're not looking for passive users, they're looking for active users. And someone who uses a scheduling platform all the time is no longer an active user, they're a passive user. And so when you're off-platform passive, meaning that you're using a third-party scheduling tool, people say it doesn't affect the reach. I've done all the analysis, it does. It does affect the reach, because you're not on platform, and if you're not on platform, you're not going to comment, you're not going to like, you're not going to share, you're not going to click on an ad, you're not going to make the platform money. And they want to encourage you in every way, shape and form to be on platform.
Great. So if you're on, say, Facebook and you do schedule posts on Facebook, it's different to scheduling it across.
It's different to using like a boot suite, as an example. Not to say that if you legitimately don't have the time and you want to use a tool like that, it's going to be helpful, it's going to save you time, but my preference is to not use those platforms because I know what the platforms want. I can even tell you that when my community management team, when they post a piece of content, it has different reach to when I post the content, because the platforms know when I'm posting content and they know when a community manager is posting content. And when I post content, especially on Instagram, when I post content on Instagram, it gets far greater reach than when the community management team posts it for me when I'm busy. That's what they look for. They're looking for the social connection. They're looking for DAOs and MAUs. They're looking for ultimately making money as well. And the way that they're monetized, you can't make money for a platform if you're not on the platform to click on their ads. And that's what they want. They want you to click on their ads ultimately.
Just a question about live videos.
What's your name?
Maria. Sorry.
Hey, Maria.
Hi. Sorry. With live stream, is it better to stick to a time limit or just go to engagement?
It's a great question. Time to me is relative to how engaging the content is. Because some people say, well, I don't watch long form content, and I say, well, do you like watching movies? And they go, oh yeah, I love watching movies. Oh, so you do watch long form content. The only reason that what determines whether someone will watch 10 minutes of a movie? What's the difference? What determines whether you watch 10 minutes of a movie or an hour and a half or 2 hours of a movie? Is it any fucking good? Is it any good? If the content is good, you're going to watch it. So for me, it's not about the time, it's about the quality. It's about how good is the content. And that's where I kind of differ from some of my peers who say, just get it out there, pump out the content. I'm like, oh no, if you're pumping out content that isn't being watched, then no. I'd rather spend a little bit more time to create, and Matthias, my filmmaker, knows this. He knows that if he spends more time on a video, if he pumps out a video every day, 5 days a week, those videos will do average views, will get somewhere between 10 to 25,000 views per post. But if he works on a video for 2 or 3 weeks, we know in most cases that video is going to be a 250,000 to a 10 million view video, because he'll find something, he'll double down on it, he'll put the time, he'll put the attention. But also we have a different production style to a lot of our peers as well. If you were to compare us to the market, we're not Gary Vaynerchuk, we're not Jay Shetty. We almost kind of combine what Jay Shetty and Gary do in the way that we communicate our message on video, and that kind of resonates with our audience. But the way that we do that at the highest level is by taking the time to produce content. So we have certain filmmakers in our business and editors that their goal is just to chop up content and push content out quickly, and the other more talented filmmakers and editors in our business, their goal is to spend the time to actually create viral videos. You got it. Far away.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
I have a different question about a different platform that you didn't touch on. I'd like to know how you use LinkedIn and what the take on LinkedIn is.
What platform?
LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn. Look, LinkedIn, another great platform. LinkedIn is very good for us. I've never really talked about LinkedIn much because we've never made a lot of money until last year off the platform. I think last year, we maybe edged close to $1 million off the platform. The method is pretty much simple. It's just publish content. LinkedIn is a more professional environment, but it is becoming more Facebook orientated. And who would agree? Like it is becoming like a bit of a professional Facebook group. So it's just finding the content that resonates with that market. The content on LinkedIn is typically more business orientated, more professional orientated. But the same rules apply whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. It's understand the culture of the platform. The way that you understand the culture of any country around the world is there's only so much reading about India that you can do to really understand their culture. But when you actually go to India and you immerse yourself in the different cultures and the different people and the different personalities, you start to go, wow, this is a really different place. It's so much more different to the book. And social networks are like, they're like countries. When you consider there's 2.2 billion people on Facebook, that's the biggest. If that was a country, it'd be like fucking, be competing. It'd be bigger than China. So the way that you understand the culture of each platform is you spend time on the platform and you look at what people are doing.
Yeah, I understand that. What I understood from LinkedIn, and I used LinkedIn before I used Facebook, so I'm more familiar with LinkedIn than I am with Facebook.
Yep.
So with LinkedIn, all I understood before was to do direct messaging, because everybody seems to do personal messaging. But I didn't understand, or what I don't understand, is about putting up posts, putting up articles, and so on, which I have done as well.
Yep.
But how can I use that more effectively? I would say
Make content that people want to consume. It's the same as publishing content on Facebook. It's like, how do I publish content that people want to see on this platform? Facebook is a more mum and dad type platform. Instagram is a more young, hip, vibey, visual type of platform. LinkedIn is a more professional kind of content platform. Twitter is a more, news-orientated type of a platform. And you curate the content within your niche to the different platforms that you're communicating with. You got it. Thank you.
Hi, Kerwin.
Ooh.
Hi, I'm Alison.
I swear to God, it was like a ventriloquist. Her mouth wasn't moving. Hey, Alison.
Hi. I was just wondering what advice you'd give to someone like myself who's very new to all of this, and very new to personal branding, with regards to starting to do more lives.
Yep.
In a way that didn't look like, oh, check me out, I'm walking down the beach, and the way we were saying.
If you're going to do a live, my advice is make sure you've done a fucking lot of video before you start doing live. Because you've only got, on live, you don't get to retake what you do. And so if you make a mistake, everyone's going to see it. And that's not to say if you don't practice it, you're not going to make mistakes. But my advice is practice before you go live. Do the create model. Do some short videos. Do as many 10-second videos as possible. 20-second videos, 40-second videos, 1-minute videos. This is where most people fuck it up, is they try and do the long form content and they try and do that better first. My advice is if you can master the 10 to 60 second game, your long form game is going to be a lot easier to achieve a level of mastery in. But most people, they start with the long form and they just waffle. And they don't actually give any real, and when I say most people, I'm literally talking most people when they do long form content. It's just, it's 80% filler and 20% substance. And my advice is take out all the filler. If it's a 20-second video, you're going to get far greater reach, far greater penetration, because one of the things that the algorithm looks at is time consumed, percentage of video consumed. And it's a lot easier to get a high percentage of video consumed. If it's a 20-second video and someone watches 10 seconds of it, you've had a 50% consumption. The algorithm recognizes that. Okay? Whereas if you've got a 3-minute video and you get a 10-second consumption, you've seen my maths, right? I can't work it out for you and tell you what it is as a percentage, but I can tell you it's like maybe 3% consumption, right? And so as a result, or thereabouts, 3.3. But as a result, it's not going to, the algorithm will go, it's only had a 3.3% consumption, this one's had a 50% consumption, this one's better, I'm going to push this one out more. But how do you make a good quality 10-second video is a 20-second video, same principles apply as a good quality 3-minute video, put good content in there. But if you've only got enough good content to go for 3 minutes, get the best stuff out and put it in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it'll be a killer video in comparison to 3 minutes of trying to read between the lines to hear what someone's going to say. Then, once you're good, then you can start doing lives. Now, if you can start doing one takes, and if you can sit there and punch out 5 videos, 60-second videos at one take, okay, you're now ready to consider doing a live. But if you can't punch out a 1-minute video, without fucking it up, and you want to do live, you've really got to ask yourself the question, why? Like, what is it you're trying to prove here? Okay, well, I just want to do my skydive. I want to have the thrill. If that's your goal, then fine. But realise that the potential to damage the brand is going to be a lot higher when you don't know how to drive the bus. Does that make sense? You got it. All right. This lady was actually standing, actually you were there a little while, but ladies first. Far away.
I'm also Alison.
Hey, Alison.
Hi. So with this, most of us are not taking people off platform. So what success have you had with ManyChat? Like the call to action after the 5 into ManyChat?
ManyChat?
So then you're doing Facebook messaging through Messenger.
Oh, the message bot. Okay, that's a totally different ballgame right now. We are doing some really, really wicked shit with message bots, and by the way, it's a very deep hole. I'm going to put it to you this way: once I've perfected it, then I'll start talking about it. Right now, we're doing really well off ManyChat, but I'm not ready to talk about it just yet because we're still trying to perfect it, and I don't want to tell you the stuff that we're testing right now because some of it's not going to work, and I'd rather... what's interesting is that when we launched the social experiment, it took me, I think I was talking about this with Matthias, a year and a half before I started telling people what I was doing, because I wanted to give people good advice, not just fly off the seat of my pants and tell them what I was doing as I was going, because not everything I was doing was working. But what I will say is you want to be playing with it. You want to start using it. I'm still learning how to understand it more myself, but the open rates in message bots is around 80%. But what we've learned, okay, here's what I will tell you when it comes to using message bots on Facebook. Subscription rates are very high. Automated messaging works very well, but what you've got to be is very cautious about how often you communicate and what you communicate, because you might get 80% open rates, but again, if you're sending a shit message and you're getting a high open rate, you're just saying more people a shit message. So you've got to, what I've discovered with Messenger is, what do you think Messenger is all about? Messaging. It's all about the quality of the message. So in order to master Messenger, you've got to master messaging to the market that you're going after. And again, it's not a fucking direct marketing tool. It's not a direct sales tool. It is a relationship building tool. And so you've got to really be focusing on building the relationship first, or having the auto response set up in a way so that you can segregate and separate the audiences so you know when to put them into a call to action. Does that make sense? At this point, because we have such high levels of engagement and we have such high penetration, it's almost like our Facebook page is a group. You know, we have such high levels of engagement already. That being said, you know, with the way the algorithms continue to go, we're probably going to put more focus on groups.
Okay, thank you.
You got it, thank you. All right, my man. What was your name?
Freddie J.
Freddie.
How are you?
Unstoppable, how are you?
My question is, I've run a business, construction business since I was 16 years old. I love what I do.
Congratulations.
It's a successful construction company, but I'm only new to the online space, 3 months I think. How do I make the transition? I love both sides.
That's a big question. Rather than give you a big question, let me prime you with motivation to do it, to learn and to explore more of what I've talked about here, and I'll give you a little bit of practical advice as well. I've got guys that do directional drilling, and I didn't even know what the fuck directional drilling was until I sat down and thought about it, which is drilling holes in fucking different directions, right? Took me a while. I was a slow punter. Making money off Facebook. I've got guys who do concrete grinding making money off Snapchat. You know, I've got guys that do garden edging making money off different platforms as well. And people say to me, oh, my market's not on Facebook. And I said, bro, everyone's fucking market is on Facebook. It's just, do you know how to communicate with that market? So first and foremost, it is a massive opportunity for anyone, especially because here's the thing, I'm not amazed by all the ads and the content that I'm seeing produced by certain brands. I'm amazed by the amount of brands and businesses that aren't producing content. I'm amazed that my fucking local dentist isn't producing content. I'm amazed that my local I'm amazed that there's not a local masseuse, you know, in my area or where even when I'm traveling, doing content, because I'm not seeing anything show up on my feed, whether it be an advertised video or even just a sponsored post or even just a direct marketing ad. I'm not surprised by the ads that I see. I'm surprised by the ads that I don't see. And it comes back to that 6%. 6% of, you know, the 60 million business pages on Facebook are advertising right now, which means there's a fucking mad opportunity. Okay, but what's going to happen in 3 years from now? That $80 billion that's on TV is going to roll over into social media. And I'll tell you what's going to happen, because I've been there before with Google AdWords. In 2003, I was using Google AdWords, and I was spending 3 to 5 cents to bid on specific keywords that would determine if my ad showed up. You know what a sponsored ad looks like on Google? And so all my terms, I was bidding 3 to 5 cents a click to get my ad seen on Google for certain search terms. And my average cost per lead was about 40 to 60, maybe 70 cents, 80% max all day long. But then all this corporate money started to roll in. And when I was using AdWords at the beginning, no one else was using it. It was maybe 6% of penetration to small business level. Then all this corporate money started rolling in because they go, fuck, search is a big deal. Search is this, search is that. The new wave of business is search, 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 search. You know, optimization as well as SEO, as well as search Google AdWords And my cost per lead went from 80% max. If I run a Google campaign now, it's $240 to $360 cost per lead. On Google, so guess what? I don't fucking do Google AdWords, because for for $340, let's say, I can generate 100 leads on Facebook. Why would I use Google AdWords? They don't need me. They've got all the corporates that are puffing them up. The same thing's going to happen on Facebook. I tell you right now, it's going to happen. Give it 3 years, and Facebook will be totally fucked for everyone else. And you'll have all the big brands dominating. Everyone will abandon Facebook, and they'll go sniffing for the next big thing. And right now, the next big thing appears to be Instagram. But I'm sure Instagram's going to achieve the same thing as well. It's interesting because a lot more advertisers are rolling into Instagram now that I'm seeing than there are into Facebook. And they're like, oh, dude, you fucking... and by the way, when I see big corporates do it, I'm like, you go for it, pal. Because the more they do that, the longer they give us. Because we're just the little guys. We're the mum and dads. We're the small businesses, medium-sized businesses. We're the ones that actually fucking prop up this economy. We're the ones that pay these fucking bankers stupid amounts of money to be fucking crooks and then get rewarded for being crooks. So we need. Sorry, I'm getting a little fucking carried away. So my advice is, take what I've given you, learn how to produce content that is interesting. Time-lapse is beautiful for construction. People love to watch time-lapse. They love to see things being created. They love to see things being transformed. Use it, do it, it'll pay off, I promise you. Yep. Same principles apply. Whether you're construction or otherwise, focus on what you're good at. You got it. Hey, Luke.
I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You don't understand how much your journey and the people that you touches everybody else. As a single father,
brother.
Years, same story as you. I started the freedom team 12 months ago. You had something going on in Melbourne, so I went to it. Couldn't afford to do the rest of it, but I went to that one. Met a man there by the name of Miller Montgomery from the King Collective. I'm doing these 12-month stuff, and I've seen Miller go from strength to strength to strength after he did your seminar and course, whatever he did. And when I started with Miller, there was 10 blokes, and we would all talk about shit that's going on at home, kids, heartfelt stuff, where am I, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And I've seen him grow from that to there's now 40 blokes, and then there will be 100 blokes, and all of a sudden what you're helping Miller create is now just going to change single dads and the way we feel and the way we communicate, and that sort of shit. I don't have a question for you, but I just want to show you how much I fucking love what you do.
Thank you so much. It means the world, mate. Thank you so much. Someone asked me outside before, I was being interviewed by a lovely lady outside, and she said, what do you want to leave behind? And you just nailed exactly what I want to leave behind. Thanks, pal. Okay.
Hi, I'm Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
Hi. I'm new to the online world. I haven't been going that long, and you were talking about how it's really important for us.
Let me ask you a question. How long have you been using the internet?
Internet for ages, but as in using it effectively.
Yep, that's okay. Just be conscious of the outs that you give yourself when you say things like that. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but anyway, carry on.
So you're talking about how it's really important, like we all know that we need to be getting content out there.
Yep.
But not that we're just putting content out, that's just content for the sake of putting shit out there. So
yep.
I want to know, as someone who is struggling at the moment with knowing how to make meaningful shit that's going to actually be worth people watching,
yep.
what tips do you have for people who are new to creating meaningful
yep.
content?
Got it. Throw spaghetti at the wall. No. I'm saying throw spaghetti at the wall. Because one of the challenges that most people have, and this is what I do with my clients, this is what I do with my trainings, is I get people to throw spaghetti at the wall, meaning I just get them to start filming content. I get them to start producing content. And once you start filming content, you might say, well, Kerwin, you said quality. But yeah, if you're starting from a standing start, just start producing content, throw it against the wall, put it out there, and you're going to get feedback from the market. You're going to learn really quickly what's good content, what's bad content, what's going to run, what's going to not. And my advice is just throw spaghetti at the wall, because sooner or later, you start to work out how long you need to cook the spaghetti in order to get the best stick. Does that make sense?
Hello.
Hey. What's your name?
My name is Philippa.
Hey, Philippa.
Awesome. I have a few questions.
Yeah, fire away. Let's start with one.
Okay, the first question is around your team. I'd love to know what you actually do during your workday and what your team takes care of.
Oh, fuck. How do I answer that question? I'll show you my diary. Most people, if they saw my diary, they'd have an anxiety attack. I do a lot. I'm very hands-on in business. I'm not a, and again, I mean no disrespect to what I'm about to say here, but I get a lot of my fulfillment comes from the action of running and building a business. And so for me, I'm not after a lifestyle business, because I've tried that before. I retired at 32, and after 2 years, I was so fucking bored. Like, honestly, I was doing my noodle in, because all my mates were working, everyone else was working, and there's only so much travel you can do before you start going, okay, I've seen everywhere, I've done everything, like, fuck, I'm just bored. Like, what fills me up is doing stuff. What the fuck was the question? What do I do? So what I do is, I'm a leader first. There are no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. And the reason that most people don't scale is, look, a lot of people say, when I ask them, why do you get into business? What do you think is the most common response? And it's not making money, by the way. People go, because I want to have more freedom. Who got into business because I want to have more freedom? We're at the fucking Freedom Fest, right? But what's interesting, I say, so how's that working out for you? And it's often the pun of it's often they're the butt of the joke. And the reason I say this is because most people don't know how to scale. And scaling is the ability to duplicate yourself in a meaningful way where people can take the things off your plates that you really suck at. Okay, or take off the tedious details. So the things that I do are the things that I'm really, really, really fucking good at. I'm a really fucking good leader. I'm a really fucking good communicator. I'm a really good salesperson. I'm a really good creative. I'm a really good marketer. Like, when you look at a lot of the campaigns that we create, a lot of the videos that we do, Matthias is a genius, and he can create viral videos all day long without me, but I'm actually involved in the creative process. I'm actually involved very heavily in the creative process, the leadership process, the recruitment processes, the community management processes, the customer service processes. I'm involved in the collection processes. I don't do any finance or administration, but I'm overseeing I oversee every department. Like, we are about 48 people now in terms of our business in Sydney. And yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but I also balance that out by, I've built a gym in my office so that I can train. I have a gym that I can train. I don't have to go to the gym. I can actually just walk next door to my gym in my office and train. And that's a part of what I do in my day. I deal with all of my staff. I hate the word staff. I deal with all of my talent issues. I'm one of these leaders where if I've got a talent member that's having shit going on at home, I don't say to my talent, leave your shit at the door. When you come in here, you're here to fucking work. You got it? Like, my methodology is whatever's going on in your personal life is affecting your professional life. And so I'm a therapist. I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm a fucking therapist. Like, I've dealt with everything from, in my team, I've dealt with suicide in terms of suicidal team members who have had someone who's suicided. I've dealt with addiction. I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with anxiety. I've dealt with bipolar. I've dealt with fucking alcohol. I've dealt with every single, marriage breakdowns, relationship breakdowns, parenting issues. You name it, I've fucking dealt with it, and I hit it head on. Because if I can help my team member deal with whatever's going on in their life, not only are they going to learn how to perform at a much higher level, but they're also going to be a lot more endeared to what it is I do. They're going to have a higher level of loyalty and trust for me. And one of those important things for a leader is to develop trust. And the way that you develop trust with your team is by exposing yourself. And so one of the reasons my team feels so comfortable about coming to me with their stuff is I expose myself on a regular basis. Not like that. But if I know a team member's got stuff going on, I will sit down and talk to them about the challenges I've had when it comes to, mental health, the challenges that I've had when it comes to addiction, the challenges that I've had when I've come to relationship, and I'll use that as a mechanism to help them feel comfortable to share what's going on for them in their world, so I can help therapeutically them work through their stuff. And sometimes, therapeutically is in a counselling environment. Sometimes it's coaching. Sometimes it's literally therapy. Sometimes it's hypnotherapy. Sometimes it's, it's energetic Reiki therapy. Sometimes it's just sitting there and just listening and allowing someone to feel heard, because no one else in their world gives them the opportunity to hear them and actually be seen. And sometimes that's all people want. Can we maybe come back round? Because I want to make sure we get to as many people as possible, and that was a really good one.
Can I just ask one more? That's not
You're just robbing someone else, but go on.
okay. With Instagram,
Fucking cutthroat right here.
with Instagram, do you recommend having a niche Instagram accounts that are separate to your personal one that cater to a separate audience?
Depends what you want. To me, there's no line between business and personal. My life is my business, and I keep it all out there on one platform. I have a personal Facebook account that's very fucking inactive, and I do most of my work on my majors.
Cool.
You got it. All right. Yeah. Hey, James.
Before you say put it in or you boost it, you see it once, like you see like Facebook likes it with engagement.
Yep.
Do you have like a general rule for people who obviously like don't have as many followers? Like what a video needs to hit in terms of engagement or views before you give it advertising dollars?
When you're starting out, you pretty much start advertising whatever. Again, it comes down to quantity. If you've got enough quantity out there, you're going to be able to see, okay, if I publish 10 videos, okay, 8 of them got 100 views and 2 of them got 250 views. You're going to know what is the difference. You know, if you're only publishing one piece of content, you've got a fucking problem. Okay, so it's a self-fulfilling answer. If you publish enough content, you'll work out what's working, what's not, and you'll know where to put your advertising dollars. You got it, brother. Thank you. I'm not sure what's going on here.
I wanted to ask you a question.
All right, far away.
Hi, Kerwin. My name's Louise, and I wanted to ask you what the tipping point was for you when you used to wear the suits to going over the line and really exposing yourself.
And really exposing myself. Yeah, right. So you heard that story. Okay. That's a really, really good question, and it all comes down to a level of self-actualization. Like when I used to wear suits, and there's not a lot of content out there with me wearing a suit, but I basically evolved from a full suit and tie to a suit collared shirt to a suit with a t-shirt, back to a suit with collared shirt, to jeans with a suit with a collared shirt, to jeans with a suit with a t-shirt, to then jeans with a collared shirt, and then jeans with a t-shirt, to jeans with sneakers and a t-shirt. Next stop is fucking board shorts and singlets. I'm only kidding. I get cold in air conditioning, really. I'm very sensitive. But the evolution was me just being comfortable with who I am. I'm not a suit and tie kind of guy, you know. And when I used to wear suits, I used to hate wearing suits. You know, the whole idea of putting a tie around your neck, because I got my start in the security industry. Like I was actually a bodyguard. Like did personal protection for 4.5 years, and so I looked after the likes of Bon Jovi, Madonna, U2, rich Japanese businessmen who had more money than brains, Jimmy Barnes, John Diesel, what did you name him? Like a whole raft of Madonna. And when I was in the security industry, one of the things that we used to say is you never wear a tie, because if you're wearing a tie, this is completely off topic, but you get my point here, it can be used against you, because if you're wearing a tie in the security industry and someone grabs you by the tie, all they've got to do is literally loop around once and you'll be choked out in about 3 seconds flat. And so whenever I had the idea of putting a tie on, I was like, why would I put a noose around my neck? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so for me, I always hated a tie, and then I always hated suits, and then I just like to be comfortable. And I'm what's called hypersensory, which is good and bad, which means I feel everything. Like my sense of smell is off the frickin' charts. My hearing is off the charts. My taste is off the charts. My kinesthetic feeling, my intuition, off the charts. That's, by the way, it's on the spectrum. So it's on the spectrum of what's called an SPD, which is sensory processing. They call it a disorder, but it's like, dude, I can smell things from like 100 feet away that most people can't. That's a fucking superpower, right? That's not a fucking disorder. And sex is amazing, let me just tell you. Because everything is turned up. Everything. Asking? No, not asking, just sharing. But thank you. But so for me, like fabric on my skin, I like to wear fabric that is soft. And people go, oh, why do you always wear tight shirts and tight jeans? Or you're trying to fucking show off. No, it actually calms my nervous system. Like when I wear tight clothing, what you may not know is it creates a level of pressure that actually helps relieve the autonomic nervous system. It actually relieves anxiety. Actually, I've got a very successful client that works in the space of providing sensory wear for kids that are on the spectrum, whether it be Asperger's, bipolar, anxiety, ADHD, autistic, and they make these clothes that basically are tight clothes for kids out of a soft fabric that actually releases and reduces anxiety. It's called Jet Proof. If anyone's here's got any kids that are on the spectrum, or if you're on the spectrum yourself, even got ADHD or anxiety, check out Jet Proof. Great product. I wear it most of the time, but I just like to wear clothes that make me feel good. And yeah, even what's interesting is even when I was fat, I used to wear tight shirts. So yeah, I'm not just doing it because I've got myself into shape.
You feel much better.
I feel much better this way. Thank you. All right. Well,
and Kerwin, we've got time for probably two, over here behind you, I know that.
Oh, there we go.
Time for 2 more questions.
I've missed my flight, so we can have a few more. It's all right. Huh?
About 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. Whatever's good. Far away.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Simple 2-part question. If you had $1,000 to spend on Facebook ads in a week, starting from scratch,
Yep.
what would you spend it on? And scaling a business from 5 figures to 6 figures per month, what
Yep.
would you do?
Good question. I would do the same thing. The first thing I'd do is I'd invest that $1,000 into producing content to publish, to determine what my market wants. So is that question based on I've already got the equipment to be able to produce video, or is that question? Okay. That $1,000 would be spent on exactly what I've talked about here, identifying the content that is already popular and creating a funnel sequence of videos that you can actually start targeting audiences with. I do a lot of playing with the, there's Facebook audiences, but there's also this tool called, what's it called? It's called Facebook, there's Facebook audiences and there's audiences. And Facebook audiences is, no, it's this actual platform, very few people know about it. It's in Business Manager. Audience Insight, that's it, thank you. Where you can actually go in and you can build audiences off the back of, you know, personalities and brands and locations and geographies, and that way you can then take that audience, you know, put it into your funnel, and then you can really laser target what it is that you're trying to do. And I'd do exactly what I've just shown you. If you start spending $1,000, are you saying a week?
Yes.
If you spend $1,000 a week on that and you've already got good content, you will, and it might take time, but I promise you will work out really fast what works and you will fucking crush it. Yeah, you got it. Thank you. All right.
Hey, Kerwin.
Hey.
I would love to know, my name's Amy, by the way.
Your name's what?
Aria.
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 Hey.
I would love to know what your non-negotiables are, like when you wake up every day to set your energy to make your day like
Non-negotiables. I think non-negotiables set ourselves up for pain because if we don't have flexibility, things break. So I am very, very, very flexible. I'm a Libra. I'm also a Libra tiger, wood tiger. So for me, I'm very diplomatic. I love harmony. And for me, non-negotiables can often create disharmony, but at the same time, you've got to have the things that are harmonious, not just for the environment, but also for self. So the things that I really like to do, you're talking about routines? I meditate like a fucking Zen monk. Like I love, not that Zen monks would talk like that, but meditation for me is it's my go-to place. It's where I feel my best. It's where I feel my safest. It's where I feel my most alive, if that makes sense. But it's in a very calm, conscious, present way. I drink 1 litre of water every morning when I wake up. The moment I wake up, I chug down 1 litre of water. Sure, yeah, and I almost got a Kagan in the office, but the ex-wife got it. So yeah, liter of water. I meditate from somewhere between, depending on what time I wake up, because sometimes I'll just wake up at 2:30 in the morning and I'll be like wide awake, or sometimes I normally wake up somewhere between 3 and 4:30 every morning without an alarm clock, but what I've learned is if I try to go back to sleep, I wake up feeling like shit. And so if I wake up at 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning, I just meditate for a couple of hours, and it's bliss. Because, you know, when you look at meditation, 20 minutes of deep meditation is the equivalent of like 3 to 4 hours of REM sleep anyway. And so if I wake up early and I meditate for a couple of hours, I come out of that feeling amazing. I stretch every morning. I only train normally 3 times a week. I have a very interesting eating schedule. I don't eat my first meal every day until about 1 or 2 o'clock. And I eat my last meal every day by about 7:30 every night. And yeah, what else can I say? Non-negotiables, breathing. I do a lot of autonomic breathing. If you've ever heard of Wim Hof, if you haven't heard of him, check him out. Amazing guy. Yeah, that's pretty much my, I'm sure I'm leaving some shit out, but I can't remember. Does that help? Yeah, that means no. That's what's called vocal tension. Vocal tension is a signalling of discomfort because they're not comfortable. Ask a different question.
If there's just like one...
Okay, the non-negotiables, like time with my son. Like, he is number one. And people, I've been fucking chewed out on this on social media before where I talk about, because I'm a stickler for time. I always like being on time. I hate people who are late. But when my son's involved, that fucking goes out the window. I've nearly died over half a dozen times, right? And I'm very conscious of how fragile life is. And so I know, you know, there's every possibility that, you know, I may not come home today. My plane might crash. I might get hit by a car. You know, God forbid, I might have another stroke. We've just discovered, actually, end of last year, I discovered I've got a hole in my heart. And apparently I've been having a series of micro strokes every year that I wasn't aware of. So I'm conscious of the fact, I'm getting it fixed, but I'm conscious of the fact I'm going to come home tonight. And so when I'm with my son in the mornings and my son says to me, Dad, I want to spend an extra, I want to stay in bed and cuddle, I'm like, fucking done. Dad, I don't want to go to school right now. You know, if we've had breakfast, because what's really hard for me is he loves eating with me, and every morning he goes, Dad, why don't you eat with me? I say, well, Daddy doesn't eat breakfast, but I will sit and have breakfast with him, and after breakfast he always wants to play. He goes, Daddy, can we play before we go to school? And so, yep. And he's like, Daddy, why do you always play with me? And I said to him, because, you know, life is precious, son, and you don't know what can happen. He's starting to understand the concept of death because we had a pet die in the family, but I just understand how fragile life is, and when it comes to him, he's fucking number one, and nothing. You got it. Pardon?
When you were talking about the fragility of life, like that edge, that was really my question, like the drive.
Yeah. I think everyone should. I think mortality is a beautiful thing that everyone must experience in a very deep and painful way to wake you up to the fucking reality of what it is we have here and this opportunity we have to live. Because most people, and I've said this before, they tiptoe through life hoping to get to death safely. And it's like, fucking live now. You know, live now, because when you're dying, you ain't gonna be living, you're gonna be fucking dying. And that's when you're gonna be wishing you can do the most living. Live now and do the things that fucking juice you up, man. Yeah. One more? Yeah? Oh. Nikki, you know you can fucking message me anytime you want, so it's like... Well, alright, far away.
I don't live with regrets, and for you, I know you've had so many near-death experiences. Going back of every experience that you've had, what would you... I've totally lost it now because of everything you just said. Knowing what you know now, of everything that you've learnt, what would you wish you'd known when you first started business?
That's a question that sets people up for failure, because if I had, like, I don't like that, what would you do differently? It's not that I don't like it, I won't judge that question, I just wouldn't do anything differently. You know, one of the reasons, pardon? Well, I wouldn't be who I am right now. You know, this is a really interesting question. It kind of tags off the question about my son. You know, I became addicted to drugs when I was 19. I became addicted to amphetamines, and I've always been fascinated with my addictive and compulsive behaviours, and it wasn't until I really started to explore and research and, you know, really develop a level of expertise around addiction before I realised that everyone is an addict, and we shouldn't look at addiction as something that's bad. Like, we should actually understand it's a spectrum condition, much like bipolar is. Everyone has good days, everyone has bad days, it's just the degrees it varies. Now, we're all on different spectrums, it's just where we fall on that spectrum. And, you know, when you look at the spectrum of addiction, everyone's on that addiction, but some people are just addicted to checking their fucking status updates. You know, other people are addicted to, you know, having 2 wines every night. Some people are addicted to having 6 beers every night, and some people are addicted to hard drugs and fucking blowing up their life. And what's interesting is when you look at that, I'm very grateful for addiction because it made me very, and by the way, although I became an addict at 19, I can still have a drink. I have no issue with alcohol. Alcohol to me is like, it's not a substance that appeals to me. And so for me, you know, I've been very fascinated to understand what is the difference between me that got addicted to amphetamines and being able to get my life back together, and the guy who gets addicted to amphetamines and ends up on heroin and blows their life up. And what I've learned through enormous amounts of study and research and interviewing some of the world's best is our brains develop the most between the ages of, you know, 0 and 14. They don't fully become set until you're around 26, 27, 28. But the way that the brain develops is fundamentally determined from an addictive perspective based on the level of safety that the child feels, that the baby feels. And when a child feels unsafe, their brain literally starts to pump blood in different directions, and different parts of the brain become stronger than others, and as a result, their dopamine profile changes. And so when a child, and by the way, so why is it that one person becomes a heroin addict and blows their lives up? Because they experience such levels of unsafety in their life and levels of, in most cases, severe abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, that their brain has become so maladapted that they have no ability to produce, in most cases, what would be called healthy levels of dopamine. So it requires them a substance in order to feel some level of normality, but then it becomes a self-depreciating process, because over time they feel better less and less and less, and they feel worse and worse and worse, and they never fully recover as a result. Whereas someone who, for example, maybe their parent wasn't physically abusive or sexually abusive, but they just didn't connect. Like they weren't present. That's called attunement. So if a child doesn't experience deep levels of attunement, again, it creates low levels of maladaptive brain development. Brain starts to pump blood in different directions. Their dopamine profile is different, and so they might become addicted to checking social media. They might try alcohol and drugs, but it doesn't really do anything for them because they have low tendencies for addiction. Does that make sense? Our tendencies for addiction really comes down to how our brain is developed. And so for me as a parent, my number one responsibility is to create a safe environment for my son, but most importantly, show him how to regulate stress, show him and demonstrate to him how to regulate emotions so that they naturally learn how to regulate through natural biology. You know, most children, you know, when they're fucking having a meltdown, the child's like, sorry? I'm about to tell you. Most parents, when their child is having a meltdown, they say, stop, what are you fucking yelling at? And their child's like, when a child's having a meltdown, they just feel unsafe. And their brains, has anyone heard the term flipping your lid? Like when a child flips their lid and they have a meltdown, their frontal cortex literally stops communicating with the mammalian and reptilian parts of their brain. They can't fucking think properly. And what they're looking for is they're going, oh my God, my world is unsafe. Everything feels unsafe, regardless of whether they didn't get their fucking TV or you took away the device. They just feel unsafe. They're having a meltdown. And then the big person in the room goes, why are you fucking yelling? You shouldn't be yelling. All I did, you don't take me for... And so they're like, I feel unsafe. He's yelling at me. The world is a fucking unsafe place. Whereas in those moments, and this is where it's so counterintuitive, even if you've taken something away, you just go, look, I know you're upset, I know you're sad, come here. You hold them and you stay calm. And then their body symbiotically and through, you know, actual physical observation, they go, well, I'm just fucking losing it, but they're really calm. Oh, okay, so I should be really calm too. But if they go, I'm really fucked up and you're really fucked up, all you're doing is feeding the cycle. Does this make sense? Yeah.